My communications teacher in high school says, when you go up to speak, look for a friendly face, mark where they are, and when you get too nervous, just look at that face. I'm glad today I see several faces. Sister Clark, thank you for that wonderful song. If I knew you were going to sing that song, I would have made a recommendation to sing it after this sermon, because it binds right into it. So I thank the Lord. I trust in His wisdom that that song will still magnify this word. Today, the title of this sermon is Love Stories. I'm going to tell you two stories. The first one begins with Adam. We know the story well. He's the first of us, created in all the perfection that God could see could be made. He was given command over the Garden of Eden. The animals made just before him was brought to him to be named. He learned from God himself the basics of life, of faith, of love. But in his work, in his naming of all the animals, God noticed he, of all his creations, had no one to share it with. So God put him into a deep sleep. That makes God the first, anesthesiologist. Did the first surgery. Performed the first DNA extraction, and cloned from him a new creature similar and equal to him. What must it have been like when Adam was first brought into the presence of Eve? I know the first time that I saw my wife, I was more nervous than I am now. The butterflies. Is she gonna like me? Should I stand this way? Should I put my hands in my pocket? How do I approach her? What do I say? Do I smile? Or do I go on and appear tough? How did Adam approach Eve when she was brought to him? Did her beauty cause his stomach to roll? Did his knees shake as he gazed upon the perfect beauty that was created with him in mind? Was the hair long? Was it short? Did it just blow across her face that made his heart stutter? What was his reactions? If only I was there to see. But we know that when she was presented to him, the words that came out of his mouth, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, you don't get much closer than that. It was his job to take her through the garden, to bring her to the creatures he had already named. This is an ox. This is a monkey. This is a bird. They are different kinds. I know that when I met my wife and we traveled, especially if we were traveling somewhere I already knew. It was just a personal wonder to be able to take her and say, this is my favorite river. This is my favorite beach. This is the fruits that we have here. Try it out. You might like it. It was just a great thing to introduce to her, to share with her my thoughts, my love. Adam was given the pleasure not only of showing her the garden, but telling her about the God he already knew. In time, in living together, working together, they got closer and closer to each other. Love prevailed, grew strong. They became each other's backbone, finishing each other's sentence. Still, in their perfect environment, there was danger. The angels, Sister Ellen G. White tells us in chapter 3 of Patriots and Prophets, the angels gave them warnings. There is an enemy, and you need to look out for each other. Say to Adam, don't let her too far out of your sight, because there is danger. To Eve, there is danger. Do not wander too far away. Still, and one day, I don't know what day of the week it was, they were doing their work. And, there's a lot of questions about what's the role of a man and the role of a woman. I just like to present it here that in the beginning, they worked together in the garden. And one day, it was like any other day, the woman was working, Eve, and as she worked, she began to wander a little bit away from Adam, from where he was. She worked her work, she was doing at that time, and she followed her work until she was nearby the fruit of which God had said, thou shalt not eat of it, thou shalt not even touch it. This tree was a test for them. Am I going to follow God all the way, or am I going to go my own way? As she came close to the tree, she began to admire the fruit on the tree. It was pretty, as you know, mangoes are. I'm not saying it was a mango, but it was as most beautiful mango you may have seen. As she gazed upon it, she began to wonder what secrets it held. What was so special about this tree that of all the things that God has given us, he chose to withhold this one thing. Unknown to her, she was being watched. And the watcher had no simple or good intent for her. Sister White says, no longer free to stir up rebellion in heaven, Satan's enmity or hatred against God found a new field in plotting the ruin of the human race. In the happiness and peace of the holy pair in Eden, he beheld a vision of the bliss that to him was forever lost. Moved by envy, he determined to incite them to disobedience and bring upon them the guilt and penalty of sin. He would change their love to distrust and their songs of praise to reproaches against their Maker. You don't have to do something wrong to someone for them to become your enemy. Some people become your enemies because of what somebody else did to them, or because they didn't get something that they wanted that they think they should deserve. That job should be mine. That man or woman should be mine. Why is he dating her? I'm more handsome. I'm richer. People emboldened by sin will create their own sense of justice. So, in our living and in our coming and going, we must always be careful. Give everyone the opportunity to show themselves and their true character. Don't judge anyone, but be careful. There's an enemy out there. The angels warned the couple to be on guard because Satan was unrelenting, meaning he would not give up. He cares not for your age or what ailments you have, your status in life, your degree, whether you're a high school dropout or you have your master's. We are all targets for him. Like the angels, the dwellers in Eden have been placed upon that one probation. Their happy estate could only be retained on conditions of fidelity to the Creator's law. They could obey and live, or disobey and perish. In other words, God's house had rules. Does your house have rules? Do your children know what time to come in? Do they know what chores they have to do? It's no different. In God's house, he has given us some rules. Those rules is never to burden you, it's to protect you. They want you in by a certain time, because after certain times, danger magnifies. Evil loves the dark. Satan, watching Eve's gaze as she watched upon the fruit, he became excited. Oh yeah, she really likes that fruit. She's thinking about it. And he said to her, yeah, God had said, you shall not eat of every tree in the garden. Eve was surprised and startled as she turned and saw the serpent talking to her. Now, the Bible tells us the serpent was a beautiful being. It had wings. And as she gazed upon the serpent, she was surprised that the serpent was talking, because serpents don't usually talk. As she looked, as she continued, or as Satan continued, having imparted himself into the serpent and speaking in a musical voice. Let's not forget, what was his talent? What was his purpose in heaven? Music. And using a musical voice with subtle praise for her surpassing loveliness, and his words were not displeasing to her. Instead of fleeing from the spot, she lingered wonderingly to hear a serpent speak. Not every dog that says, hey there, means that they have the angel in them like Balaam. Sometimes when you hear a strange speakings, you gotta know it's time to walk away. Whether it's coming from a television show, the radio, YouTube, when we hear strange words where they should not be coming from or that we should not be listening to, don't encourage it. Don't linger. We all have to learn when it's time to walk away. Unfortunately, Eve lingered, and she became excited as Satan said wondrous things to her. If you eat that fruit, You're going to be powerful. You're going to become all-knowing like God. God doesn't want you to eat that tree from that tree because he doesn't want you to be like him. He wants to keep you subservient. Mesmerized by the serpent, this talking serpent, mesmerized by the beauty of the fruit, and hearing Satan, or at that time, to her understanding, the speaking serpent, she began to weigh the things of God. Does God really love me? Or does he just want me here to do what he wants me to do? Am I just here to be his slave? Or do I actually have a place in his wonderful plan? As she considered this, Satan plucked the fruit from the tree and put it in her hands. She did not die right away. So now the question, but God said if I plucked it or even touched it, I would die. I'm not dead. So she took the next step and she took a bite. Evil doesn't necessarily just call you. Sometimes it will come up to you. It will put it in your hand. For our young men especially, be careful what others put in your hand. There are people who have died because someone pretending to be a friend put a gun in their hand and said, just try it out. See how it feels. Just smoke this. Just drink that. I know people who have gone to parties, been given something to drink, and straight away, they have never been the same. I know people, even in my own family, being given something to smoke. They didn't go looking for it, but someone brought it to them. And after smoking it, they were never the same. I can testify to that. Eve took the fruit and she brought it to Adam. In Patriots and Prophets, Ellen G. says, an expression of sadness came over the face of Adam. He appeared astonished and alarmed to the words of Eve. He replied that this must be the foe against whom they have been warned. And by the divine sentence, he recognized she must die. I can't imagine quite how he felt. The closest I can come to is when my aunt Karen, when she called the family together and said she had cancer and that it was not treatable. My heart fell down. I love this woman. Part of my childhood was spent living with her, traveling with her, hearing stories from her, being fed by her, being taught how to cook, clean, being taught the lessons of life. And here she was saying, I'm going away. It was hard. Adam looked upon Eve, saw the transgression, and knew what the end result was now going to be. She urged him to eat, repeating the words of the serpent, you shall not surely die. She reasoned this must be true, for she felt no evidence of God's displeasure at that moment. But on the contrary, she realized an exhilarating influence thrilling every faculty with each new bite, with new life, such as she imagined as inspired the heavenly messengers. In other words, she was excited by the new thrill of what she has just done. I remember the first Friday night that I said, you know what? I am going to go to that party. And I was thrilled. In part, I felt like I was getting away with something. In part, I was thinking, many people have done this, they're not dying. It felt like I was learning something new. Sin can create excitement. Sin can cloud our minds with desire. And sometimes the immediacy of the thrill of sin overcomes our knowledge of God. We forget. Sin uses pleasure to hide the death it brings. Adam understood that his companion had transgressed the command of God, disregarded the only prohibition laid upon them as a test of their fidelity and love. There was a terrible struggle in his mind. He mourned that he had permitted Eve to wander from his side. But now the deed was done. He must be separated from her whose society had been his joy, his life, his every moment. How could this have happened? How could he have it thus? Adam had enjoyed companionship of God and of the holy angels. He had looked upon the glory of the Creator. He understood the high destiny opened to the human race should they remain faithful to God. Yet all these blessings were lost in the fear of losing that one gift which in his eyes outvalued every other. Love for God, loyalty, all was overcome by his love for Eve. None of us should say that I can take on sin. Love, or the feeling of love, is a powerful thing. Read any book, listen to any song, watch all the movies, they will tell you love can move mountains. The things people do with love, nations have risen, nations have fallen because of the love of a man to a woman. Adam chose Eve. And as we often do, having taken the fruit, having eaten of the fruit, he began to say, well, she didn't die. She's touched it. She's ate it. Maybe the serpent is right. He began to reason himself deeper into sin. And eventually, he took the fruit, partook of the fruit. And they realized they were naked. One of the things that I learned in preparing this lesson is how quickly sin takes everything over. For a little while, like between the time Eve ate the fruit and Adam ate it, there seemed to be some kind of grace. You may sin and you don't feel the effect of it right away, but trust me, it's coming. The wages of sin is death. There is no escape from that law. There's no exception. None, no king, no queen, president, education, poor, rich, thief, beggar, all have sinned and all is heading to the dust because of that sin. What did they do? Immediately after Adam ate the fruit, they realized they were naked and they ran and hide. They plucked leaves from the trees and began to hide themselves, fearing because they know that Jesus was coming soon, as he always does, to walk in the garden, to spend time with them. And when he said, Adam, Eve, where are you? I'm not seeing you. And Adam said, we were naked and we were afraid. Here's a simple thing I learned in my Christian warfare. When I have repented of my sins and I am holding on to the Lord, there's no worry. I'm not worried about, well, if God comes now, let him come now. I'm ready. I've given him my all. I am not turning back at this time. I'm going forward. When you're covered by God's grace, there is no emptiness. You're not looking for anything. But there's a danger in it too. The danger is not that you're covered by God. The danger is you feel like you got this. That temptation has been bothering me for the last few months. Yeah, I've been good. I haven't thought about it. I must be strong. I can take care of this. And once you do that, that's when Satan comes. We must always, always be submitted to the Lord. Because one of the things that I notice is sin, as I said before, is exciting. And sometimes you miss the excitement. You may miss the results of the sin, but you can miss the excitement of the sin. That's why God says you got to put on the whole armor of God. You've got to die daily to your sins. In other words, daily, you have to be willing to say, I understand that the sin is exciting, but I know that being with God is better. It's true. I know there is no fear with him. If I sin, then I'm going to have to worry that Brother Crawford finds out. What he goes and tells the church, oh my goodness. How am I going to face Sister Mitchell knowing that I've done X, Y, and Z? I've lied about X, Y, and Z. I've stolen X, Y, and Z. When you're with the Lord, you're not worried about such things. But when you're with the Lord, you have to replace what you're missing from sin with things that are of God. You got to study more, pray more, hold on to God more. You've got to be his hands, his ears, his mouth. Do the work. Tell someone about God. That's the thing that can hold you the strongest when you're sharing God's love. And look at them now, hiding in the bushes. And when God asks, what happened? What did the man who so loved the woman do? She gave me the fruit to eat. young men, young women, when you find your partner, and especially to the young men, you have the spiritual duty to be the leader of your home, the priest of your home. Do not let your love for your woman replace your love for God. There must be balance. Love the woman with all your heart. Work to support her, to love her. Be kind, be gentle. Imitate God to her as God has been to you. But do not let her replace him who gives life. To our young women, love, support your husband. Be kind to him. Be there for him in whatever way you can. But do not let your love for him replace your love for God. God first in all things, in everything. It is he who supplies. Adam did not stop to think. He had 9 more ribs. I don't know if my biology is right, but God could have replaced. I've heard a pastor, and I think about it. I don't know yet if it's true, but it's an interesting thought. Maybe Adam, who was sinless, could have died for Eve. After all, it was only her. It wasn't the entire billions of people that Jesus had to carry. But either way, even if Jesus had to die for her, at least it would have just been that one burden that he would have had to carry. But now he was in the bushes, hiding and declaring that it wasn't his fault, it was her fault, and maybe even God's fault, because he prepared the woman for him. Maybe he made a mistake. The result of this love story is well known. We are here now. We see the results every day. There are people hiding from the government because they might be found out and sent back to another place. People are afraid to walk certain streets, to ride the trains. Is there anybody in here who has never had someone die from cancer, or had cancer, or surviving cancer? I don't see one hand going up. So we have to now determine, given the circumstance from where we are coming from, knowing the DNA that's within us, what will we do when temptation comes? But I don't want to leave you with a sad love story. So I'll close real quick with another love story. There's a man who's looking for a bride. He's rich, very wealthy. As a matter of fact, if you go outside and stand on any hill, look up, look down, he owns that. He's kind. He loves children. He will never allow you to go hungry. Because guess what? Even his enemies say he can turn the very stones into bread. You will never be thirsty. He's a living water. And anybody know what his name is? I'm going to give you another name. His name is also Adam. Read 1 Corinthians 15:45-48. It says, the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam, a life-giving spirit. The spiritual did not come first, but the natural, and after that, the spiritual. The first man was of the dust of the earth. Second man is of heaven. And as the earthly man, so are those who are of the earth. And as in the heavenly man, so also are those who are in heaven. And just as we have borne the image of the earthly man, so shall we bear the image of the heavenly man. And among the last important thing I will share, this man, just like Adam, he loves his bride. He loves the church. Adam died with Eve. This man died for Eve. Such is the love of Jesus. I say to all within my hearing, fall in love with your spouses. Fall in love with Jesus. Be willing to share all, to love with all your strength. But in your loving, do not forget which love is greater. It is God who called us into being. It is God who, when we fell, redeemed us through the love of Jesus. Even when all his disciples either fell asleep or ran away, and he was all by himself, he still loved us. Just like he still loved Adam and Eve in the garden. Think about how, while they were hiding in the bushes, he called them out. Killed an animal and used his skin to make them clothes. In other words, he was not getting rid of them just because of their sin. He still had a plan for them. He has a plan for you, my brothers, my sisters. There's a plan for you. He has died for you. He has redeemed you. And all he's doing now, he said, come, in my house there are many mansions. I got a place for you. Won't you come and join Jesus? Won't you give him all your heart? Turn not to yourself. Be careful of strangers speaking mighty things that are different from what God has spoken to you. Protect each other. Husbands, don't let your wife wander too far. Wife, don't wander too far from your husbands. You all have a duty to each other. Protect each other. Point each other unto our Lord and our Savior, Jesus Christ. And when Jesus shall come to meet his bride, let us all be there together, praising his name, giving him all the love that our bodies can muster. I know for me, I'm going to shout for joy. On this pulpit, I control my emotions, but when that trumpet shall sound, I don't care if Elder Mitchell or Elder TC is looking at me. I don't care who is here. I'm going to jump. I'm going to praise. I'm going to scream. I'm going to make a fool of myself. Because my Jesus has died for me.